Go ahead and multiply the number 8,388,628 times 2. Can you do it in a few seconds? There is a young man who can double that number 24 times in the space of a few seconds. He gets it right every time. There is a boy who can tell you the exact time of day at any moment, even in his sleep. There is a girl who can correctly determine the exact dimensions of an object 20 feet away. There is a child who at age 6 drew such lifelike and powerful pictures, she got her own show at a gallery on Madison Avenue. Yet none of these children could be taught to tie their shoes. Indeed, none of them have an IQ greater than 50. It goes without saying, the brain is an amazing organ. Your brain may not be nearly so odd, but it is no less extraordinary. Easily the most sophisticated information transfer system on Earth, your brain is fully capable of taking little black squiggles on a piece of bleached wood and deriving meaning from them. To accomplish this miracle, your brain sends jolts of electricity crackling through hundreds of miles of wires composed of brain cells so small that thousands of them could fit into the period at the end of a sentence. The brain is complex, and I am taking only slivers of information from each subject, non-comprehensive, but accessible. For starters, we are not used to sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day. From an evolutionary perspective, our brains develop their powerful intellects while working out, walking about 12 miles a day. You might predict that they still crave the experience, especially in sedentary populations like our own. That's exactly what you find. Exercise boosts brain power. Exercisers outperform couch potatoes in long-term memory, reasoning, attention, and problem-solving tasks. I am convinced that integrating exercise into our 8 hours at work or school would only be normal. As you no doubt have noticed if you have ever sat through a typical PowerPoint presentation, people don't pay attention to boring things. You've got seconds to grab someone's attention and only about 10 minutes to keep it. At 9 minutes and 59 seconds, something must be done quickly, something emotional and relevant. Also, the brain needs a break. Ever feel tired around 3 o'clock in the afternoon? That's because your brain really wants to take a nap. You might be more productive if you did. In one study, a 26-minute nap improved NASA pilots' performance by 34%. Even so, the brain isn't resting while it sleeps, but is surprisingly active. And whether you get enough rest affects your mental agility the next day. Sleep well, think well. Most of us do more forgetting than remembering, of course, and that's why we must repeat to remember. When you understand the brain's rules for memory, you'll see why I want to destroy the notion of homework. We are all natural explorers, and this never leaves us, despite the artificial environments we've built up for ourselves. I have had the distinct privilege of watching many research efforts involving chromosomes and mental function. On such journeys, I occasionally would run across articles and books that would make startling claims based on recent advances in brain science. Such progress was purported to show us how to change the way we teach people and do business. And I would panic, wondering if the authors were reading some literature totally off my radar screen. I speak several dialects of brain science, and I knew nothing from those worlds capable of dictating best practices for education and business. In truth, if we ever understood how the human brain knew how to pick up a glass of water, it would represent a major achievement. There was no need to panic. You can responsibly train a skeptical eye on any claim that brain research can, without equivocation, tell us how to become better teachers, parents, business leaders, or students. What we know about the brain comes from biologists who study brain tissues, experimental psychologists who study behavior, and cognitive neuroscientists who study how the first relates to the second. Evolutionary biologists have gotten into the act as well. Though we know precious little about how the brain works, our evolutionary history tells us this. The brain appears to be designed to solve problems related to surviving in an unstable outdoor environment and to do so in nearly constant motion. I call this the brain's performance envelope. Exercise, wiring, attention, memory, sleep, stress, sense, vision, gender, and exploration relates to this performance envelope. Motion translates to exercise. Environmental instability led to the extremely flexible way our brains are wired, allowing us to solve problems through exploration. Learning from our mistakes so we could survive in the great outdoors meant paying attention to certain things at the expense of others, and it meant creating memories in a very particular way. Though we have been stuffing them into classrooms and cubicles for decades, our brains actually were built to survive in jungles and grasslands. If you wanted to create an education environment that was directly opposed to what the brain was good at doing, you probably would design something like a classroom. If you wanted to create a business environment that was directly opposed to what the brain was good at doing, you probably would design something like a cubicle. And if you wanted to change things, you might have to tear down both and start over. In many ways, starting over is what this is all about.